All right, here we go. All right. So, we are done with the learning for junior year. Okay, I've gone through everything that I needed to get through for junior year. So we're going to be spending a majority of fourth quarter dealing with your IAs because since I have 32 study students, that's 32 studies IAs that I have to grade. These IAs range between 1,000 words to 2,000 words. And so if you multiply that by 32, not to mention the 28 SL papers I also have to grade in senior year, that's a lot, okay? So the lowest you can have is 1,000. Okay. Math does not count for the worst. All right, but I'll get into that. Okay, so today we're basically spending it going over the basics, what it is, what you have to do, how it's graded. Okay, we'll deal next week. We'll actually go over some like Lake Wells High School students' studies papers to see what they've done. And maybe some that are across the nation and across the world. Okay, we're going to look at sample IAs. So that way you kind of see, okay, this is a good IA, this is a bad IA, this is an average IA. You guys are also going to grade them yourself. Because if you can understand what all goes into receiving a certain level on the rubric, then you'll know exactly what you need to include in your own personal one to get the highest possible points. Make sense? Cool. So again, any questions that you guys have, just write them down. And like I said, when I get to a stopping point, I'll address them. Okay? So the IA, also known as a project, is an opportunity for you to apply the mathematics to an area that interests you. The key thing is that it has to interest you because there's nothing worse than sitting down and reading an IA that is boring. Okay? If it's of interest to you, you'll put more effort and energy into it and it will read that way. Okay? It is worth 20% of your final grade for this course. Paper 1, the thing that you'll sit down and make to take, the one that's the short questions, that's 40% of your studies grade. Paper 2, that's the one with the long responses like A through F, that's 40%. This here makes up the remaining 20% of your final grade. You cannot receive a grade for this course if you do not do one. This is not an option. It is mandatory. Okay? Now, if you turn one in and it just literally sucks and you get a score of 0, you're still okay because you turned one in. You just got a score of 0. Okay? So there you go. No, I have had a 2. Like 2 out of 20. It's out of 20 points. Yes. Okay.
Wow.
Wait.
Maybe that could be one of the ones that we read.
Is this like when you say paper 2? Is this like Medlock paper 2?
No, it's like in math paper 2. Like you know how some of the questions on your test have been like A through F or A through G. Those are the longer ones. That's how paper 2 is. But it's only like 6 of those. All right. Now, how much time are you gonna spend in there? Approximately about 50 hours. Okay, that's between now until the time that is due. You spend about 25 in class where we discuss the project and the criteria. We look at and mark previous ones. We discuss suitable titles because every IA needs a title. Discuss methods of data collection and sampling, and discuss your progress with me. Okay. Basically, I'm here to advise you. Okay, I'm not here to do the work for you. I'm not here to write your IA. That's going to be on you. But I am going to be kind of checking in and making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're not waiting till the last minute to turn in certain parts.
I don't know.
Okay?
Who's making eye contact?
I looked at everyone. All right, now on your own. Everything else, besides the advising, the checking in, is on you. Planning this project, that's you. Collecting and organizing your data, that's you. Applying mathematical process, doing the work, everything, every step, that's you. Discussing your results. What does this tell you? What does the answer tell you? And its validity, that's you. Making sure it's well structured, and then checking your math, the notation, and terminologies. Everything else is you. Okay? Remember, if you have any questions, make sure you just write them down. All right? Now, who grades this? I do. That's why I said I have 32 studies and then 28 SL papers I'm going to have to grade in your senior year. Now, what happens? Because we have 32 currently, I grade all of them, I put the grades in, and then submit. IA generates randomly around 15 names of people's papers that will actually get sent off to IB. Okay? Those 15 papers are going to be graded by the professionals, and they're going to determine whether or not I graded too leniently or too harshly. If I grade too leniently, that means everyone's paper is going to get knocked down a certain number of points. But if I grade too harsh, they'll bump up. And I'm pretty good at this. Okay?
It's harsh.
Oh, I mean, I'm always going to be the hardest. Like, hard but fair. Because I don't want to be, like, too ridiculous that, like, the highest thing is a 10, unless they really are just at that 10 out of 20. They really are just that bad, but it's never been that way. But, like, the last 2 years, they've only had to moderate either down one or up one, which is not bad. So, I haven't been, yeah, like 1 point.
Oh.
So I haven't been spot on, but I'm close.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Ruckus was telling us when we finished our geography.
And the thing is like the reason why they send so many is because they want a good amount of sample to see exactly what type of writing you guys do and how I grade certain types of things. So they do pick like poorly graded ones, like ones that got like a 7 out of 20 or like an 8 out of 20. They do take some from that group. Then they take some from like the 12 out of 20 or the 13 out of 20 group. They take a few of those, and then they take the high ones. So that way they can see what do I consider a high paper, an average paper, and a low paper. Okay? And the reason why it's so many is because there's so many of y'all. This year I had 9. If it's under 12 students, they only take 5. So it was like a 50-50 chance that my seniors this year got it. And like I said, a maximum mark of 20. Yeah, that's just floating on. So, how is your IA graded? Well, it is graded based off of 7 criteria. The first one is your introduction. The second one is information and measurement. The third is your mathematical processes. The fourth is interpretation of the results. The fifth is validity. The sixth is structure and communication. And the seventh is notation and terminology. You know, one of the old criterion used to be commitment. And that was based off of how well your paper read to see if you actually spent time on it. And then if you actually met the deadline set by your teacher. They took that away. Terrible. I hope the video picked it up.
Oh my God, you're recording.
I am recording. All right. So here we go. Looking at criterion A, the introduction. All right, and you guys, this is yours to keep. So if you want to write on it, do whatever, okay? I don't suggest you lose it because you'll probably go back and look at this and say, okay, where's my introduction? Is it a 2? Is it a 3? What is it? Your criterion. Task is what you're going to do. A plan is how you're going to do it. Every project should start with a clear statement of the task and have a clear title. So, for example, if you are collecting data and comparing the heights and shoe sizes of students at Lake Wells High School, a clear title or a clear task would be, you know, in this project, I plan to determine whether there is a correlation between shoe sizes and heights of males and females at Lake Wells High School. That is a clear, explicit task. I plan to determine this by collecting a sample of 50 or 60 students at Lake Wells High School. I plan to get their shoe sizes all in male sizes and their heights all in centimeters, etc., etc. I plan to determine whether there's a relationship by finding the correlation coefficient, plotting the data on a scatter plot to compare, and then possibly predict future shoe size. Except, you see what I'm going with this? Not only do you say what you're going to do, but how you're going to do it, what processes you're planning to use to do this, okay? This can be easy 3 points. Just figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and by what methods are you planning to get it done. Easy, okay? And this, more detail. This is, and basically what I use is like an abbreviated version of this. It's going to tell, like I always start at 0. If you do not have a clear statement of task, You can't get anything higher than that. If you do have 1, you can at least get a 1. And then it kind of goes on and on if you describe in detailed how you're going to do it, and which steps you're planning to do what. Okay? Easy 3 points. Criterion B, information and measurement. Information, generate measurements. This is the information from a computer, an observation, an investigation, a prediction, an experiment, a survey. It's whatever means you plan to collect your information. Okay? And this information is geometrical figures and data collection assembled from outside sources. They can be from the internet. They can be things that you collect yourselves. It does not just mean a statistical analysis. You don't have to do one that's statistics-based. You can. Majority of studies papers are, but you don't have to. Okay? If you do use a survey, you always want to make sure you include a copy of the survey so then the grader knows exactly what did you ask these people. Okay? It's the breakdown. This one's also out of 3 points. The short and sweet of it is you need quantity. Okay? If you're going to do a statistics-based IA, you don't want to do it with just 10 people. That's not a good sample. Okay? 100, that's good. And then put things into a chart for crying out loud, okay? And make sure it's relevant. If you're talking about flight patterns of planes and things like that, there should be nothing about the distance a car travels. It has to be relevant, okay? Criterion C is the mathematical process. This is the work that goes behind it. This one is the heaviest weighted part of this entire thing. It's out of 5 points, okay? If you're going to do a linear regression line, use a ruler. Unless you are good with the like Excel and charts, if you're good with that, then it can all be computer hand, okay? But don't just sketch it. Freehand is a no-no, okay? Handwriting work is a no-no, okay? Hand plotting graphs, that's a no-no. Use technology to do these things, okay? If you do use tech, you need to show a clear understanding of the mathematical processes used. That basically means, I know we know how to find the chi-square test using the calculator, okay? But you cannot do that for an IA. You're going to have to do the actual by hand, the step-by-step method of how to find the chi-square test, okay? You're going to have to use the distribution charts. You're going to have to do all of that, okay? Now, you can use your calculator to check your work, see if you did it right, but you need to show a clear understanding of the mathematical process that you used. All graphs need to be relevant, and this is important. Everybody needs to write this down or circle it or highlight it somewhere in this, okay? You need to include at least 2 simple processes and at least 1 further process, okay? What I mean by simple, if you're doing a probability-based IA, that is like determining 2 events are independent. That's a simple process. Just doing normal probability. Like if I roll a die, the probability of me getting a 4, that's a 1 out of 6. That's a simple process. Okay? Right here. Right here. Now, a further mathematical process. That will be like conditional probability. That one's a further one, okay? If we're talking statistics, clearly chi-squared, all right? Correlation coefficient, that is more of a simple process. Finding the regression line, that's a simple process. If you're doing something with quadratic, say you're really into rocket ships and you're doing like an investigation where you're shooting off rockets and you're trying to determine the height if you use a certain amount of whatever. I don't know much about rocket shooting off, but it's quadratics, right? Finding the vertex will be something like a simple process, okay? But maybe using another method to find the maximum height instead of just plugging in vertex, that can be considered a further process. But at least 2 simple and 1 further. What I say to you is to do 3. 3 simple, for sure. Because, for this very reason. If you look at, this is the breakdown, okay? The highest you can get is a 5. And if you look right here, to get a level 3, at least 2 simple mathematical processes have been carried out correctly, and the processes are relevant. That means whatever 2 you choose, if they're done right, you get an automatic 3. But if you do one of your 2 processes wrong, the highest you can get is a 1. So if you do 3 and you mess up on 1, you still have at least 2 right. Does that make sense? So I say try to do 3. And if you're like, well, my topic doesn't have like 3 simple processes, let's try to make sure before we get to that point where we're in the writing and the mathematical process finding, make sure we get a topic where we can have enough to work with, okay? And then you get the higher points when you apply the further processes. If you mess up, say you only do 2 simple and 1 further, and you mess up on one of your simple, but your further's right, then your further, unfortunately, is counted as a simple process. Okay? I said try to do 3. Let's just be real. Because if you mess up on 1, you have 1 to fall back on. Okay? So there you go. D, interpretation of the results. You can't just do a whole bunch of math and have nothing to say about it. You have to comment on your results. What does the math tell us about whatever? That's a wider discussion of the limitations and the validity of it. It is at 3 points. What I will say about this particular section is if you're performing multiple mathematical processes, try to comment after each one. If you do correlation coefficient, what does this number mean? What does this tell us about what you were trying to figure out? If you perform a regression line, what does this tell us about what you were trying to figure out? Chi-squared, you do that. What is this trying to tell us? Okay? Something that's even better. If you're doing your own experiment, create a hypothesis before you even start your paper. So like in your introduction, after you go over your task and all that stuff, say, so based off of just what I think that the probability of getting a full house when you play poker is 1/4 of the time or something. And maybe state why you think that. So then that way, as you're doing the probabilities, as you're going through an investigation, you can say, okay, well, my original hypothesis was wrong because of this. Or this supports my original hypothesis because of this. You see what I mean? It's like you're doing it throughout your paper instead of saving it for the end. Okay? All right. Remember, if you have any questions, you guys write them down. And then you're going to pass them back to Ariadne so she can kind of put them all together for me. Now, don't be dumb. Don't say your original hypothesis was right when it wasn't, okay? So, like, if you get through everything, you're like, oh, yeah, my original hypothesis was right because of whatever, but the work clearly shows that you're wrong. Let's not do that. Draw conclusions using all the calculations you did. Don't just talk about one. Talk about everything that you did. Explain your interpretation. Please. Relate all the values of what you collected. This is where the math meets practicality. Okay, what does this all mean? And then take the conclusion out of the number world and into the real world. What do the numbers mean? Okay? From this point, everything's more like structural. Okay, validity is only at a 1 point. Used to be at a 2, but I guess this is where like that gray line was, where people really couldn't justify why they said it was a 1 versus a 2. But this is where the appropriate mathematics was used to deal with the information collected and whether the mathematics used has any limitations on its applicability within the project. Okay? Does your math make sense, and how does it make sense? Okay? If you're talking about population growth, but your number was a negative, well, you never talked about there being a famine or a disease that killed off all these people, but your number was negative. What's going on? You know, it has to make sense. It has to make sense. But it's at a 1 point, okay? Either hit or miss. F is a structural thing. Does it read well? Did you communicate well? Did you try to avoid large numbers of repetitive procedures? And fully label graphs in appropriate scales. So, the last criterion.
Let it flow.
Yes.
Oh, like let it flow.
No.
Oh,
Let's let it flow. Make sure it makes sense. All right, so the last criterion is notation and terminology. This is making sure that you use the correct Math terms and notation. Calculator and spreadsheet notation is not acceptable, meaning that you cannot use this to represent multiplication. The little like asterisk, you can't use that. You cannot use that. If you're going to do multiplication, it needs to be the binary X. There's an actual symbol that means multiplication when you go to Word and like Pages or whatever word processing system you use. If you're doing exponents, you cannot use the caret. You need to figure out how to get a superscript so you can do the actual squared symbol or the cube symbol or whatever. Square roots. There is an option. There's an equation editor in Word that you can use to pull up any type of symbols, thetas, alphas, whatever. Okay? All those are there. And that is out of 2 points. Okay? So you really could get, if your paper reads well, if you use all the correct notation, if you have a clear statement of thesis and things like that, you should be able to get an easy, like 7 points. Easy. Okay? It shouldn't exceed 2,000 words. It needs to be double spaced, 12-point font, times New Roman. Okay? The basics. All right?
I need to write it down.
Yes, you have paper. Go ahead and write it down. And also, we'll take this time that if you have any questions, we'll do parking lot, and then we'll address those. All right, so some questions that you guys have, it says, when do you state your original hypothesis? Something like this would be good to state. Like, so, you know, if you're trying to determine something, you have your own predictions. Stating something like that would be good in your introduction. Okay, in your introduction, that'd be good. Personal pronouns, talking about using I and things like that. Yes, that is fine. You do not have to talk in third person. Computer-generated graphics. If you're going to be doing like a scatter plot or something like that, yes, you want to use a computer-generated one, okay? But, you know, of course, if you have any raw data and things like that, you want to make sure that you include that as well. Word count is 2,000 words. Those 2,000 words do not include your numbers that go along with your calculations, okay? So, say you have a graph, then you have like a sentence that describes what this graph is. That is not a part of your word count. However, if you're like performing the chi-square test, and then you say, okay, and now the next step, and now I'm going to determine the expected tables, the expected value table, that is a part of your word count, okay?
Captions for the graph.
Captions for graphs or tables do not count, okay? Are you going to have certain days the criterion is due? Yes. Your first criterion A, which is your introduction, not so much what the introduction is, but I have a sheet that is like the plan. It's pretty much everything you include in your introduction. That's going to be due on April 25th, which I think is a Tuesday. Will I give your rough draft back grade? What I will do, because like I said, I have 32 of these, and I want to make sure that you guys can get a rough draft back way before your final draft is due. And what I'm thinking is rough drafts will probably be due sometime around September, end of September in your junior year. Final draft will be due around November, maybe either before Thanksgiving or before Christmas, one of the two. And I'll do my best to tell you kind of like a general idea of where you're standing. Like if I notice something is like it's a little bit off, like fix your wording. Or if like you say something in your introduction that you don't have anywhere in the rest of your paper, I'm going to say you don't have anything to represent this. Either take it out or add it in. But I'm not going to go back through and check your math. I'm only going to do that one time, and that is with the final draft. Okay? Do you need pictures? Only if it supports what you're talking about. Okay? Now, some other questions that I thought were really good from the last class. It says, what do people tend to lack the most that makes me not want to give 17s to 20s? This is what I'll say. The highest grade that I've ever given is a 17. Okay? Highest grade I've ever given on an IA. My very first year, yes, I did award a 19 because, hey, it was my first year. I was like, oh my God, it's like a great paper. But she got moderated all the way down to a 14. Okay? So then I learned, okay? Just like you guys grow and learn, I do too, especially when it comes down to something like this, especially if you're going to get marked down that much. So I've learned what exactly makes a good IA. Now, my papers only get moderated by a point, either a point down or a point up, okay? Things that people tend to not give them a good IA is that they say something that they're going to do in the introduction, and then they don't do it, right? So they'll get the full points because they have this beautiful plan, all these steps, the processes, but then they don't follow through. They lose points in the math, they lose points in the interpretation, and they lose points in the validity section. And validity is only one, so, there you go. That's one thing that I noticed, or that it doesn't read well, or people make mistakes like I said, they'll do the asterisk instead of the multiplication binary X symbol. They'll do something like that, and like they'll do it throughout their paper, even though I've said multiple times do not include that. They'll still do it.
So it's like proofreading your own work, just making sure.
Yes, proofreading your own work, and then also because I'm not an English teacher, I actually read your papers. I don't just skim through them and just say, oh yeah, well they have this. No, I actually read them. So I can tell when a paper has been rushed or when you've actually put some quality time into it. Okay? So that's what tends to be the case. And like I said before, it does have to incorporate something that goes along with the curriculum. Okay? Now, by all means, it can go above and beyond, but it still needs to, at some point in time, tie into sequences and series, or quadratics, or exponential functions. Something from what we learned in this course.
Because you went through everything. And then the overlapping.
Right. Okay. Topic-wise, I don't think anybody in here is doing a math EE, so that's a good thing. But if you were doing a math EE, your IA cannot be the same topic. But overlapping topics, only one person can do one particular type of topic. So if you're really passionate about seeing the GPAs and the amount of sleep is correlated, only one person can do that.
That's out of
All the study kids here at Lake West High School. Okay? Okay, but if you do GPA and the amount of time spent at home, the GPA and the number of extracurricular activities you do, church, sports, work, whatever, or the number of hours you work, okay? We can hit there, but I cannot have 20% or 30% of all my classes doing GPA and something else. Let's be creative here, okay? Let's be creative. Is there a set amount of meetings that can take place? I am going to meet with you at least 2 times. One time before we go for the summertime, just to make sure that you're on track. You have a plan for the summer and a plan for when we come back. And then I'll meet with you one more time, probably either before your rough draft or at the end of your rough draft to kind of say, are we going to be good? Are you going to turn in the time? Do I need to let Mrs. Saran know now to pull you from the ID program? One of those type things. Okay. It's going to be one of those type things.
Wait, I have a couple more questions.
Yes, what's up?
So if we're doing some kind of like you said, the rocket launch stuff, can we have brief background about the launch or whatever?
Yes. If you're doing something that it has any type of historical base, or you think that could benefit the reader from understanding what the topic is, then by all means include that. If you are going to use outside resources, you do need to have a bibliography, a works cited page. And with that being said, your paper does get turned into Turnitin.com. If it hits over the 20% mark, that's going to be an issue. Okay? Please make sure that it's your own work. Yes, you can have facts and things like that, but it should not be a majority of somebody else's work that's in your paper. Okay?
And then what about primary and secondary sources? Does that count here? Or is it mostly on your own, your data, your numbers kind of thing?
If you think that those things could benefit your IA to whatever the math is, then yes. Okay? But if you want to include a background about whatever, then that's fine. Don't make it so much a history paper, or don't make it so much of a science paper. Don't make it so much of a English paper that we lose the math along the way. Okay? Yeah. If you have more questions, so keep writing them down. Okay. So, some simple topics. Okay?
Well, we've got homework.
Yes, you have weekend homework. But this should be good though. This should be good. And the reason why I'm saying that your weekend homework is going to be good is because this is the time now where you're going to start brainstorming. Okay? Where you're going to sit down and you're going to figure out, okay, what do I like? What interests me? Et cetera, et cetera. But before we get to that, let's look at some of these project suggestions. Now, this right here, this paper that I've handed out, that is an attachment and it's on Schoology called choosing a topic. Okay, this is kind of like one of those last minute type of, not last minute, but last resource type thing. If we kind of gone through, you kind of put out what you like, you can't find the math to support it, or there's not enough math, and there's nothing else that you guys can do, here are some topics here. All right, they can range anything from comparing analysis of basic U.S. stocks, investing in a hotel in Costa Rica. What type of movies do male and females prefer? Modeling the trajectory of an arrow fired from various angles. If you're a huge fan of Arrow and you just love you some Oliver McQueen, okay, boom, you can kind of relate that, okay. Run a hypothetical, okay. Say he's chasing down the vigilante or something like that, and like he's on top of a 50-foot building and he's trying to shoot him who's running. Whatever, like you can be. Have some fun with it. That would be quite interesting. Yeah. I do like Arrow. I do like that show. But this is kind of like one of those, like, I really can't find anything, or maybe even I need some ideas because I'm just kind of stuck. Okay? Because your homework is a sheet that I'm handing out now that's on Schoology called Narrowing the Topic. And what you're going to do is you're basically going to take out a blank sheet of paper and you're going to answer these 10 questions that are on it. Okay? Now, if you guys don't do this homework, or you wait till Tuesday at lunchtime and try to do this real quick, that's going to kind of give me an idea of what this whole course is going to be for you, this whole IA writing course. Because if you're not even going to put the time in to actually sit down and write down what things you're involved in, what things do you like, what are you interested about, then dang. I know I'm going to be pulling teeth to try to get you to turn into IA. Okay? But you're going to answer these 10 questions. After that, you're going to look over the list and circle your top 5. Then you're going to really analyze your top 5, pick out the top 3, and then at the top 3, you're going to pick your top 1. Then on the back of that paper, after you answer those 10 questions, you're going to write down everything. I'm on the 5th to last bullet on this paper. You're going to write down everything possible about this topic that is measurable. Measurable. So, for example, if it's ice hockey, then you can write down salaries, sizes of arenas, heights of players, right-handed versus left-handed player statistics, length of time in the league, number of penalty shots, etc., etc. Anything that is measurable. And then you can list a mix of quantitative and categorical measures. Are these numbers or are these more like category type things? And then see what interests you. This is the time now where you can go and Google things and see what you like. And if you already have an idea and you're going to see this person who's like an expert in this weekend, go talk to them. Interview them. Get some things down. Whatever you find, make sure you cite it so you can have it later if you're going to include it in your IA. Okay? But this is the time where we can really try to figure out what you like and really get a good IA. As I tell you, I have to grade 32 of these. I promise you, they suck. It's going to be the worst thing for everybody. Okay? Just being honest. All right? So, do we have any last minute questions?
Did they do well last year?
Last year's study students, what was that, 2016? Last year's study students did about average. The highest was a 14 out of a 20. Okay, that was last year's group. Okay, last year's group, as well as this year's seniors, they're doing a lot of statistics-based IAs. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just got to make sure that you're spot on and that it doesn't suck, okay?
Is there a specific format as far as titles that we need to have?
I have seen both ways. I've seen ones be like where they say introduction, words, information, data, words, processes, words. I've seen it that way, and it's been good as long as everything's there. But I will say something: do not put mathematical processes in the validity section. If you're going to do titles like that, don't cross them.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I also have seen people who just done introduction, investigation, and that's where they put their data, their math processes, their validity, and then interpretations. And then that's where they did their results and then their conclusion.
Oh.
So you know, you can do,
Teachers this afternoon.
so you can do it like that, okay? But as you guys are doing your homework of the weekend, if more questions come up, then by all means shoot me a message, shoot me an email, and I will reply back to you guys. And so that way, on Monday, we're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna go over some sample IA so you guys can see what makes a good one, a bad one, a poor one, and then you guys get to grade them yourselves, okay?
Okay.
All right.